Today was a hearing with Pam Bondi before. These things are always dog and pony shows. They're always just grandstanding, and they're always irritating to watch. But sometimes the recipient of the grandstanding does better or does worse than others. Lutnick, despite his lie and everything, he did good. He's a charismatic speaker to some extent, which I think some people get used to, and then thinking, well, I'm a charismatic speaker, so I can say things that aren't exactly true, and no one's going to catch me, and they'll never catch up with me. And then, lo and behold, that hammer falls at some point in time, and then you're humiliated, and people are always going to say, oh, is he lying to me now? So these things are always grandstanding dog and pony shows, but the news of the day is we're getting the live updates. Bondi clashes with Democratic lawmakers in heated questioning on Epstein files. President Donald Trump met with Israeli Prime Minister. That's going to, what's it? Is the seventh time visiting Trump or visiting? How many times has he visited? Let me just get this right now, just so we don't make any mistakes. How many times has Netanyahu visited Trump in his first year of presidency? Let's see. I think it's 7. It's either 7 or 9. Benjamin Netanyahu. No, now we got okay. The second term, stupid. It's 7 times. Nothing's gonna quell concerns. Benjamin Netanyahu has visited Donald Trump during his second term, starting January 20th, 2025, 7 times in face-to-face meetings, with the 7th occurring today. All right, good. So they're meeting lawmakers, and here, this is when we want to. Why did I take this back out? Some, what to know. Pam Bondi, Attorney General. Pam Bondi has repeatedly clashed with Democrats in the House Judiciary Committee during her testimony. We're going to get to it. During her testimony at a Justice Department oversight hearing, as they ply her with questions. That's probably not the right word you want to use. Stupid people. Ply typically means get someone drunk so you can take advantage of them. About the Trump administration's handling of the Epstein records, Massie blasts redactions, survivors attend the hearing, Trump Netanyahu meeting, yada, yada, yada. New poll, not that I trust it, but support for Trump's immigration agenda is in free fall in early 2026 after federal immigration agents shot and killed 2. Wow, this is framing that I don't believe the polls. I do believe that that's true, but the framing is just, it's falling after the Trump administration brutally kills 2 American citizens. No further context needed. The dumbed down electorate, certainly on the Democrat side, thinks that these were 2 innocent people, that these were just, overt slayings in the streets. Doesn't matter. That's what's going on. Now, I'm not going to go through the entire thing. I was listening to it you think it's annoying to watch the highlights. I was listening to it at 2x, and I'll say one thing. People are posting clips and highlights, and I think they think it makes her look good, and I don't know how they think that. And I say this without bias against Bondi. I was indifferent to her coming in. I didn't have enough knowledge of her to determine or predict whether or not she would be a good or bad AG. I did want Matt Gaetz, thought he would be much more of a bomb thrower, that you'd actually have meaningful arrests. So I had no bone to pick with Pam Bondi before she got in, but my opinion changed, and I've, enumerated the reasons repeatedly. Persecution of Roger Ver, Bitcoin Jesus, not pardoning, dropping that case. The persecution of Douglas Mackey, Ricky Vaughn for the meme. He had to get exonerated on appeal. The continued persecution of Dr. Kirk Moore, which they only dropped after a week of the trial. Pfizer Bondi. What else? Second Amendment issues. First Amendment issues. And then the Epstein thing came into play. So now I think she's thoroughly corrupt and thoroughly incompetent. I think Trump's admin would be better off replacing her to the extent that they can. And I think they have methods of doing that. But people are posting this. Chief Nerd, I don't know, he says, AG Pam Bondi just put Jamie Raskin in his place. Quote, "You don't tell me anything, you washed up loser lawyer. You're not even a lawyer."
You can let her filibuster all day long, but not on our watch. Not on our time. No way. And I told you about that, Attorney General, before you started.
You don't tell me.
Yeah, oh, I
anything,
did tell you because we saw what you did in the Senate.
Lawyer, not even a lawyer.
Committee will be in order.
Time, and I should get back at least 45 seconds.
We will give you a few more seconds. I
Not
said
a
that
few more,
already.
45 seconds.
Okay, I'm timing right now.
Is there anybody on earth that watches that and says, well done?
You don't tell me.
Yeah, Attorney General, before you started.
You don't tell me.
Yeah, Attorney General, before you started.
You don't tell me.
Yeah, before you started.
You don't tell me.
I mean, it's not possible. I refuse to believe that anybody looks at that and says, holy crab apples, she just owned Jamie Raskin. And the problem is, when you can't own Jamie Raskin, I jokingly call him Ratskin because he makes me... When you can't own Jamie Raskin on the merits, you've lost. And it was one... You'll notice a trend. It was a diversion of answering the legit questions with the most juvenile ad hominem. You don't tell me you're a failed lawyer. When it comes to Massie, he's a failed politician. You're not even a... First of all, you don't need to be a lawyer to be the Attorney General. You don't need to be a doctor to be head of HHS. So don't drop stupid leftist talking points that you think own anybody when it's the exact arguments that were used by the left to undermine the people of Trump's administration who are actually doing amazing work. Is this the longer clip of it? Here, let's listen to this one. This is Disclosed TV. Pam Bondi. Another diversion. And appreciate it. The question is about, when Massie asked the question, we're going to get to it, about Epstein.
But, you know, instead of talking about Ghislaine Maxwell, who hopefully will die in prison, you should be talking about Irina Zarutska.
I have a couple
who
of
died
other
on
questions.
a subway.
Right, and I absolutely...
You don't talk about that.
I have been talking about it and actually helping with these issues. But we're going to move back to you.
I bet we are.
Yes, of course, because you're here to testify.
I bet you are. I mean, look, you don't have to give people good arguments. I mean, you could actually have proper retorts and then make them look stupid for maybe pulling hairs. I bet you're going to come back to, yeah, that's why you're there, to answer questions. It's not picking on you. You're the person of the hour, the girl boss of the hour.
That's what the whole point of this endeavor is. So of course we're moving back to you. It is all about you. So as we've heard, she took the fifth in response to every single question in that committee hearing. And her lawyer dangled the offer of clemency. Should Donald Trump pardon or commute her sentence? Should she be released from prison, yes or no? You said you hope she dies there, so I'm hoping the answer is no.
I already answered that question.
Good. I'm very glad. I really like this bipartisan agreement about what should happen.
With you, but you don't want to talk about Irina Zarutska. You don't want to talk about
I talk about her all the time,
violent crime
but I am not here to testify before Congress. You are. That is your job today. That's what you're getting paid for.
With attack.
I want you.
Obsessed with attack, total diversion, and not actually answering any meaningful question. But let's get to the some of the diversions, which are absolutely so insane that you watch it and you laugh. Except you might want to cry. We remember who do we had? We had Scott Bessent, who was up, and Van Hollen. Let me take this back out. Scott Bessent, Treasury Secretary, I believe, was up there talking about, he's up there for the economy. And you got Van Hollen, the man who went down to El Salvador to have margaritas with Kilmar Abrego Garcia, asking Bessent about something totally unrelated. Oh my gosh, I want to brain fart in terms of what he was asking him about. Oh, it was about Epstein. My bad. And he's like, I'm here to talk about the economy and you're asking me about Epstein. And now listen to this. When you have Pam Bondi, AG, presumably up there to talk about Epstein and other things, what does she want to talk about?
The Dow right now is over. The Dow is over $50,000. I don't know why you're laughing. You're a great stock trader, as I hear, Raskin. The Dow is over 50,000 right now. The S&P at almost 7,000. and the NASDAQ smashing records. Americans' 401ks and retirement savings are booming. That's what we should be talking about. We should be talking about making Americans safe. We should be
talking about making Americans safe after you, as Attorney General, are talking about the Dow. Remember, Jamie Raskin is a failed lawyer, and now she's attacking him on the trading stuff as if insider trading is not sufficiently a bipartisan issue. So yes, you want to go on insider trading and go after politicians for insider trading, Pam, you would be welcomed with open arms by lots of members on the right. We should be talking about American safety. So let me talk about the booming stock market, where however many tens of millions of Americans don't even have enough money to invest in that booming stock market. You talk about prioritizing the wrong people, the wrong entities, the donor class and not the citizen class. And then you talk about the Dow Jones and the market when you're up there facing an ongoing debacle in the Epstein files. I don't know who looks at that and says, she owned them with that diversion.
talking about. What does a Dow have to do with anything? That's what they just asked. Are you kidding?
Mr. Jordan, Mr. Jordan.
Right here, I do have to ask you, what does the Dow have to do with your role as Attorney General? I'm not kidding. What's the answer? There is no answer. It's performative rubbish of the highest order. And if I didn't know any better, I might think that she was put up for that failure, much like Joe Biden was put up for his debate failure, so that there could be a damn good reason to replace Pam Bondi with someone who might do the job of an attorney general. But wait, there's more. And I saw the comment, why are you torturing us with this stuff? Because it's important. This is the one with Thomas Massie, where I had a run-in with Johnny Maga back in the day. I said, I can't take anything the account says seriously. And I believe this is going to be, more confirmation to that. It's funny, actually. You can go back and find that tweet. I said, well, now I know I can't take anything that comes out of this account seriously or accurately. And the caption to the video, and again, by the way, that's not bias. I'm not biased against Johnny Maga's Twitter account. I have now exercised my good judgment based on prior experiences of neoplasma, based on my experience, to have come to a conclusion that what comes out of this account is partisan crap. And the description, and you'll watch the video and you'll tell me if I'm right or wrong. Spoiler, there's only one answer to that. I'm right. In this particular case, Pam Bondi claps back at hysterical, rabid Thomas Massie. Quote, you have Trump derangement syndrome. You're a failed politician. Fire emoji? All right, so Raskin is a failed lawyer, successful business trader. They're not going after insider trading that I know of yet. Thomas Massie is a failed politician who's one of the two politicians that actually got this bill signed into law that compelled the disclosure, and he's got Trump derangement syndrome. Let's hear hysterical, and I put it in quotes, rabid, and I'll put it in quotes, Massie. He didn't sound hysterical or rabid to me, and I've got nothing for Massie and nothing against Massie.
Respond, and then the gentleman can move to his next question.
It's my time.
Within 40 minutes, you asked me a question. Within 40 minutes, Wexner's name was added back.
Within 40 minutes of me catching you red-handed.
Red-handed. There was one.
You have to understand that. He had asked the question. I'm sorry, I probably should have prefaced this with a little context and explanation. He had asked why Lex Wessner, whatever the hell the guy's name is, Lex Wessner, why his name was removed as one of the co-conspirators, because they were only supposed to redact victims. And his question was, why was Lex Wessner's name redacted? And then her answer is, well, we unredacted that within 40 minutes. And he says, it was within 40 minutes of me discovering that you had actually redacted the name of a co-conspirator while simultaneously telling us that there were no other co-conspirators in Epstein's sex crimes. So with that context, now go back and listen to her try to laugh off getting caught red-handed, busted on her own terrible defense of her own grotesque incompetence in the disclosures, redactions, and release of the Epstein files.
Respond, and then the gentleman can move to his next question.
It's my time.
Within 40 minutes, you asked me a question. Within 40 minutes, Wexner's name was added back.
Within 40 minutes of me catching you red-handed.
There was one redaction out
Where
of
he's
over
listed as a
4,700,
co-conspirator.
and we invited you in.
Gentlemen,
This guy has Trump derangement syndrome. He needs to get. You're a failed
He won.
politician.
Gentlemen,
You need to
I
get
want
on
you to watch
these
the video.
matters.
Mr. Chairman, please restore his time and remind the witness of the rules here.
There is no credible information. None.
I mean, this guy has Trump derangement syndrome. Don't listen to him. We added that back. We unredacted that redaction within 40 minutes of getting busted by people who are paying attention to the disclosures and the redactions, unnecessary in some cases and necessary in other cases when they weren't done to protect the victims that they claim they want to protect. There's no way that anybody can look at that and say, she did good. You know, play. These are the highlights. You know, let's go. Eric Daughtry, breaking. AG Pam Bondi and Thomas Massie got into heated exchange. Quote, he's a hypocrite. He voted against the ban we pushed on deep fake AI porn. Only 2 people. Diversion. Wait until you hear this and just understand what you're looking for. And I say, again, if you don't teach kids the right lessons, they grow up to be dysfunctional adults. When I was a kid, it happened probably more than once, but I remember once. Core memory. I didn't do my homework. I'm getting in trouble. And I say, but Dad, sis didn't do her homework. And he says, I don't care about her. I'll get to her later. Right now, I'm talking about you. You didn't do your homework. Whether or not she did, good diversion, not going to get you out of doing your homework. Well, all right, let's hear what the question was here, where we got to his vote on the AI porn case, which I understand, by the way, he not abstained, voted no for other reasons. I think it was because it was like some sort of pork fat bill that included a bunch of other crap. But listen to this and appreciate what you're looking for when people refuse to answer for illegitimate reason.
Did you ask Merrick Garland that the last 4 years? Did you talk about Epstein?
I am reclaiming my
the
time.
last
I'm glad
4
you're
years?
asking about Merrick Garland.
You don't get to reclaim
because
time
this
when
is
you don't-
bigger than
when you
Watergate.
when I don't answer a question the
This
way you
goes
want.
over 4 administrations. You don't have to go back to Biden. Let's go back to Obama. Let's go back to George Bush. This cover-up spans decades, and you are responsible for this portion of it.
And that's
Now,
where the
I want to
most
know at
transparent-
what point did the FBI and the DOJ decide that Lex Wessner was not a co-conspirator? Because our Epstein Files Transparency Act requires you, please put it back on the screen, to release the internal decision about whether to prosecute him or not. And it's not in the files, and it's not in the files for any of these other men.
Time of the gentleman has
Which,
expired.
may she answer?
And he's a hypocrite because he voted against the ban that we were talking about on deep fake AI porn. Only 2 people voted against it, and you were one of them, hypocrite.
There are no words for this level of stupidity. And she's got her talking points. She's like, okay, you got to come to this. You got to mention this when you're talking about Massie. The classic talking point. He didn't tweet about Epstein back in 2020. You got to get to this point, find a way to do it. You know, you can be good at diversion or you can be bad. That's terrible. That's embarrassing. I don't know that there's anybody who says, I'm proud MAGA, I'm a proud Trump supporter, and Pam Bondi is representing the DOJ well. I don't think there's anybody on earth that can say that. And if you can believe it actually gets a little worse, we're going to get... I say, when you make Raskin look quasi-reasonable, you have failed to such a degree that I don't know that there's any class in debate or public speaking that can remedy that problem. Listen to this.
You're running a massive Epstein cover-up right out of the Department of Justice. You've been ordered by subpoena and by Congress to turn over 6 million documents, photographs, and videos in the Epstein files, but you've turned over only 3 million.
Late, by the way, also, after having said that there was nothing to turn over. I hate it that they've actually managed to give a legitimate talking point to this scumbag of all scumbags, Jamie Raskin. I'm going to disagree with Raskin on one thing at the end here, but you know where I'm going.
You say you're not turning over the other 3 million because they're somehow duplicative, but we know that there are actual memos of victim statements in there. And you also took down the Department of Justice's prosecution memo from 2019. So it's clearly not all duplicative, but even if it were, why not release it? Just release all the duplicative stuff.
As if there's not already duplicative stuff in there, because there is. Go look up the words, quote, torture video, end quote, and you'll get a number of results which are duplicative. You'll also get an email where Epstein is talking about, where are you? Are you okay? I loved the torture video.
In the half you did produce, you redacted the names of abusers, enablers, accomplices, and co-conspirators, apparently to spare them embarrassment and disgrace, which is the exact opposite of what the law ordered you to do. Even worse, you shockingly failed to redact many of the victims' names.
This is the problem where I hate, politically speaking, I don't know him personally, Raskin. And you gave him this legitimate talking point. The failure to redact the names is inexcusable. The failure to properly redact, to disclose identifying information on the victims while claiming that others don't care about the victims, it's inexcusable. Private enterprise, you'd be fired already. And now you get to give Jamie Raskin legit talking points that this snake can now come out and, in his own mind and to his own base, look like the man who's holding people who can't do their jobs to account.
Which is what you were ordered to do by Congress. Some of the victims had come forward publicly, but many had not. Many had kept their torment private, even from family and friends. But you published their names, their identities, their images,
their bank information
on thousands of pages for the world to see. So you ignored the law, and even with over 100,000 employees at your disposal, you acted with some mixture of staggering incompetence, cold indifference, and jaded cruelty towards more than 1,000 victims raped, abused, and trafficked. This performance screams cover up.
It doesn't scream cover up, in my view. It doesn't scream cover up because nothing in there has incriminated Trump individually. It doesn't scream cover up. It screams sabotage. And I'm getting more and more convinced that this is, in fact, not a cover up. This is not incompetence. This is sabotage. And you make Jamie Raskin look quasi-reasonable. We've got a big problem. Here, let's go to RT. I love getting my news from all sources. Ted Lieu had his moment. Let's listen to this one.
Because I believe you just...
Oh, and by the way, if you make Ted Lieu look reasonable, if you give Ted Lieu his moment, this is like giving the kids who would never win a participation trophy, except it looks like he almost earned it.
Because I believe you just lied under oath. There is ample evidence in the Epstein file.
Don't you ever accuse me of a crime.
I believe you just lied under oath, and this is on videotape. You said there's no evidence of crime. I'm showing you. Here is a witness statement who called into the...
Don't you ever accuse me of a crime, liar.
FBI's Threat Operations Center. He drove Donald Trump around in a limo. He overheard what Donald Trump said to Jeffrey on his cell phone. He was so angry, he was going to stop the limo and hurt Donald Trump.
Oh, yeah, we believe this.
And he met a girl who said she was raped by Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. She later had her head blown off, and officers at the scene said that could not have been suicide. No one at the Department of Justice interviewed this witness. You need to interview this witness immediately. Epstein should rot in hell, so should the men who patronized his operation. And as we say here today, there are over 1,000 sex trafficking victims, and you have not held a single man accountable. Shame on you. If you had any decency, you would resign right after this hearing concludes.
The gentleman has expired.
Let's hear the clapback.
May I respond?
Yeah, I don't know how you respond. No one can.
I did not
can
ask a
respond,
question,
but
Mr.
he doesn't
You're
want
allowed
to talk
to.
about
I did
the
not ask a
horrific
question.
crime in California.
Here, diversion. He doesn't want to talk about the horrific crime in California.
He does not want to talk about
I did not ask a
crime
question.
in his
She
state.
can't just
Madam
add
Attorney
lib
General.
stuff. I did not ask a question.
Meeting will be in
Now,
order.
as far as I understand, by the way, that claim from Ted Lieu has been thoroughly debunked, if I'm not mistaken. But you allow him to throw in bullshit into otherwise legitimate critique, and now that bullshit has more of an air of legitimacy because of the nonsense. It's inexcusable failure. And I don't know how it's ongoing and how people are not say some people are speaking up, being vocal about it. But I don't know that there's anybody on earth who can pretend to be impressed by that performative rubbish. It's like girl boss on steroids who thinks I can insult, I can divert, I can evade, and I can shriek my way out of responsibility for what is legitimate criticism of what appears to be inexcusable incompetence.